Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Life Upgrade Podcast Show, and this is your host, Fulfillment Obi. Today we're talking about the Game of Wealth Part 2. If you did not listen to Part 1, if you missed Part 1, then I would advise you to go back and listen to that episode so you'll be able to understand everything we'll be saying today. Today we're talking about wealth and how you can build it from scratch regardless of your circumstances or your situation. After listening to this episode, your views and your ideologies about wealth will be totally changed, and it will help you put things together so you can live the life you want to live, so you can gather wealth to fulfill your destinies and to fulfill your dreams. So without wasting much time, let's get started.
Warning, radioactive zone detected. Please enter with Duende mood. Take a break and enjoy the show.
Last week on the Game of Wealth, we talked about John D. Rockefeller, a man who was able to build his wealth from scratch. He came from a poor family, but he was able to gather as much resources as he could to fulfill his dream and his destiny. He became the first billionaire in modern history. Today, we'll be talking about something different, and we'll focus on ourselves and see how we can apply the same principles to our life to get the desired results we seek. In this episode, I want you to bring your imagination to play, because we'll be talking about wealth, finance, money, and your imaginative power will help you to put this concept into understanding. Now, let's imagine that wealth is about resources, as much resources as you have. So those who have more resources are deemed to be wealthy. Those who have little are seen to be poor. So if you have a lot of resources, then people will say you are wealthy. So if you have little resources, then you're poor. If you have more resources and a lot of resources, then you're wealthy. Now, let's imagine that all the wealth in the world is dumped at a particular location, and everybody in the world is gathered there. Most people would think that we are all in a straight line and we are all waiting for our own turn to get our resources, and it's shared evenly. That's not how it works in reality. So, for example, everybody in the world is gathered at a particular location, and all the wealth of the earth is there. So when the whistle is being blown, everybody's advised to go forward, struggle, and get as much resources as they can. But the problem with this is that some people are at front, some people are in the middle, and some people are behind. Let's take the people that are in front as the people who were born with a silver spoon, who have the opportunity to make wealth, who are born in countries where there are a lot of opportunities to get as much resources as they can. Those in the middle, let's call them those that are in the middle class. Then those that are behind, let's say that they are poor. They are born in poor countries and they have little opportunities to make as much wealth as they want, or gather as much resources as they can gather. So let's take, for example, that the whistle is finally blown. So everybody runs forward, and you can imagine the kind of catastrophe and chaos that eventually happen in that kind of hypothetical scenario. Everybody moves forward and they are trying to gather as much resources as they can. But there's a problem. Everyone can gather as much as they can. You can gather as much as you have the capacity to gather. So naturally, there will be those that are very strong and those that are weak. So those that are strong, even if they are behind, can struggle their way to the front to get as much as they can. But some people might start getting insight and say, what if I have a team? What if I can build an alliance? What if I can get people who will help me to gather as much as I can, or as we can? Then at the end of the day, we share the resources. So in that hypothetical scenario, you start seeing people who we build alliance, come together, be part of a group that will try as much as possible to gather more resources. Now, that hypothetical group, we have a leader. Now, this leader should provide all the necessary things that are needed to gather as much resources. So he might say, I'm going to provide you with bags, I'm going to provide you with tractors, I'm going to provide you with things you need to help you gather as much resources as you can. Then at the end of the day, we're going to share it. So I will take maybe 50%, and we all, the remaining 50%, you guys should share the rest. This very concept is the concept of job, working a job. There's usually a leader of an organization. Then you guys work at the end of the month or at the end of the day. the resources or the money is being shared among the workers. Then there are some people who will like, no, I'm not going to be part of this group, I'm going to form my own group, and it goes on. The essence of this hypothetical scenario or story is to show us how the resources of the world is divided among people. So those who are naturally smarter, better, stronger, who have the mental power, are those who eventually end up gathering as much resources as they can. Those who are slower and weaker are at the disadvantaged end of the spectrum. So now from this scenario, or from this our imaginative story, we can now see how the resources of the earth is shared, and we can now see that we can now understand why some people are more wealthy than others. Some persons will argue that wealth is value and value is wealth, and the more valuable you are, the more wealthy you will become. Well, it's actually the truth to some extent, but I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible. That's why I started off with resources. If we move from the imaginative world down to reality a bit, we can find out that this is actually true, but it is more complex when we try to appropriate value with wealth. Value is all about perception. It's how we rate and rank things according to their importance, availability, and scarcity. So the more valuable an item is, the more expensive it becomes. Let's talk about value a little bit. For example, you're a farmer and you trade tomatoes for stuff. So you take your tomatoes to the market and you want to get a bicycle, but you are told for you to get the bicycle you need 3 bags of tomatoes. So 3 bags of tomatoes is worth 1 bicycle. So for example, if 1 bag of tomato is $1, that means the worth of a bicycle is $3. That was how trade was done before the invention of money. When money was invented, it was a medium of exchange, something that stores value. So if you have $300, then you're going to get stuff that is worth $300. Since we've already established what value is and how it relates to money, we cannot call money value voucher, because it's a perfect representation of what value is and how it is perceived. When money was introduced into the market, people now understood how important it is to make profit, and the drive for profit gave birth to marketing. People start showcasing their product, their services, how important it is and how it can help people so they can make more profit. But there was a problem. Since everybody was now marketing their product, how can a particular company or an organization or a group of people stand out? Now this gave birth to branding, a particular image, a logo, a name, or something that people can identify with so they can make more sales and scale the business at large, get more customers, get more people involved, and make more profit. Now we're going to go back a little bit so we can talk about how we can actually in reality build wealth from scratch. All we're just trying to do is to lay the foundation, so as we begin to talk about these things in details, we will not be confused. So now we're in the second part of this podcast, where we'll talk about how we can actually build wealth from scratch. What we've learned so far is just to help us gain the foundational understanding of how wealth works and how it is distributed in the world. The first thing we're going to talk about is the unfairness of life, which I call the silver spoon effect. A lot of people were born with a silver spoon, born into rich families and have a lot of wealth before they were even born. This kind of people make it easy in life because they have everything they need to chase after their dream and to fulfill their purpose. And this causes a lot of trouble and turmoil between people who do not have enough resources. People who do not have enough wealth or who are poor secretly or deeply refute or hate those people who were born with a silver spoon, who are born into rich families and who are already wealthy before they were even born. So that's how life is, and that's the unfairness of life. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just a law of nature. What you can do as a human being, you should understand that wherever you are in life, wherever you find yourself is the perfect place, and from that place you can become one of the greatest persons that ever walked the earth. So most of the people we celebrate today were not people who were actually born into rich families or with a silver spoon. They turned their situation into their power, and they use their situation or their circumstances as a foil to push themselves to the places of greatness, and they became very wealthy. If you listen to the last podcast episode, you see that John D. Rockefeller was not born into a rich family, but he became the first billionaire in modern history. So wherever you are in life, regardless of your situation or your background or your family history, you have every right and opportunity to make wealth, to become someone that is important, and to leave a lasting lasting impression in the world. Number 2 is your definition of true wealth, your definition of wealth. What do you think wealth is? Most people think of wealth as just an avenue for them to make more money, get more cars, buy more houses, and buy all the shiny, fancy stuff around the world. Visit places, exotic places, and live in total luxury. Well, it's great, it's good, but that's not what wealth is. Wealth is all about how we are able to channel the resources we have been given to better the life of humanity, to solve problems, to ensure that suffering is reduced and people live better life. If that is outside your definition of wealth, then you're already on the wrong path and your motive is wrong. If you have the kind of motive that you just want to make as much money as you can so you can impress people, buy a lot of exotic stuff and live a life of luxury, then you're already on the path of failure, because those who have that kind of mindset usually waste their resources and end up in poverty. People who are very wealthy, people who are outstanding, people who are outliers understand that wealth is all about solving problems, helping people, and turning the world around. So those people who have actually done these things were rewarded with wealth. The next we have on the list is thoughts and belief. Our thoughts and belief are the drivers of our life. So if you're not careful, they can ruin us, they can push us into poverty and limit our chances of ever becoming wealthy. If you have the wrong thoughts and belief, then you might never be able to acquire wealth. Some people believe that wealth is unattainable, so they do not make the choices, put in the action, or try to even make wealth because they believe that it is impossible to make wealth. While other people believe that for you to be wealthy, you must compromise your standard. Everyone who is ever wealthy today did something bad and they are terribly evil. This kind of mindset is going to push you down. If you believe that to ever becoming wealthy, you need to compromise your standards and go against your moral standard, then you might never be able to make wealth. It is possible for you to make wealth and remain morally okay. It's possible for you to make wealth without compromising your standard. If you have this kind of belief, it will push you to make the right decision. And even when you are being tempted to go against your moral values or your moral standard, you won't, because you understand that it is possible for you to become wealthy or to make wealth while keeping your moral values and your moral standard. And also, a lot of people will have to deal with the limitation in their mind. Most of us and most people are unable to make wealth because of the challenges and the obstacles they face. As you journey to wealth, you'll find out that you need to deal with a lot of obstacles, and so you must be able to deal with the limitation in your mind, the urge to give up, the urge to quit. You must try to defy the urge to quit, defy the urge to give up. Beat yourself up and tell yourself it is possible, regardless of the situation, regardless of the obstacle. I can make it. I can become wealthy. I can become who I'm created to be, and nothing is bound to limit me. If you have this kind of mindset, it will be possible for you to get the things you need to get and make wealth. The next is your roadmap, what I call the destination effect. Your destination determines the road you follow, your roadmap. So if you follow the wrong road, you might end up on the wrong destination. If you have the wrong roadmap, you might end up in a place you don't want to be. So if your destination or your destiny requires that you have $30 million so you can set up a charity organization that will help a lot of people, and you pick up a job or you pick up something that doesn't relate to that particular goal or vision or dream, then you are setting yourself up for failure and you can never be wealthy. So a lot of people have this kind of dream in their mind and what they want to do, but because of their circumstances, the situation, or the limitation around their life, they choose to do something far more easier, something that will give them comfort and will help them step away from every uncertainty in their life. Working by that kind of principle will only lead you to failure. So if you want to make $30 million and you're working a job that in the next 50 years cannot even produce $1,000, you're setting yourself up for failure. So you're actually putting your dream aside and choosing short-term comfort over your dream or your destiny. First of all, you must understand that your destination determines what you are supposed to do. So if you are going to need a lot of resources, then you need to be open enough to try a lot of stuff that will help you get to that particular destination. So if working a job will not be suitable, then you need to come up with something that you can do that will enable you, empower you to raise the resources that you need so you can foil and make your dream a reality. So I'm not trying to say you should quit your job. I'm not trying to say you should do things that you cannot actually do at the moment. All I'm trying to say is that let your destination define the road you are taking. So have a plan. Put things together in your life that will make your dream a reality, that will enable you gather the resources that you need to make a difference in the world. So if your job is not going to help you, then it's time to leave that job and put your hands to something that will produce the required resources for you to make that dream a reality. And if you want to look at this critically, a job can never get you wealth. You can work a job, but you might never be wealthy. People who are really wealthy today, you can look at them, you'll see that they never work a job. That's just how it is. So if you have the aspiration to really become very, very, very wealthy and influential, then working a job is not going to get you there. Next we're going to talk about is finding your own game. We are all born with something inside of us that can change the world, something that have the capacity to turn the world around, something that the world can celebrate. So you need to find that game. Last week when we talked about John D. Rockefeller, we find out that when he was presented with an opportunity to go into the oil business, he was so excited and he would not let go because he knew that that was his game. If you do not find your game, something you are good at, something that you can play to your advantage, then you are already disadvantaged, and ever becoming wealthy will be impossible and will be very difficult to attain. So find your own game. Find something that you can do that nobody can beat you at. Something that you can do that will make you unique and outstanding. Something that you can go into that will separate you from the crowd. Something you can go into that will make a difference in your life and a difference in the life of everyone around you. Something that you will be remembered for, something that will carry your legacy, something that will change your life forever. Find your own game, and there's no better way of finding your own game than finding your purpose. You must first identify your purpose, then decide which game to play. Go into stuff that will bring out the best in you. Go into things that will make you better. Go into things that will make you more productive. Go into things that will build your passion. Go into things that will set your life ablaze. Find your own game. Now we're going to talk about the value paradox. When we were talking about value at the beginning of this podcast, I made you to understand that money is actually value voucher. So the more valuable you are, or the more valuable asset you own, the more wealthier you become. So you must strive to become more valuable. So this calls for improvement. First of all, improve yourself at every level. Read books, get as much valuable information as you can. The more valuable information you have, the higher your chances of becoming wealthy. If you know what other people do not know, you're already setting yourself for greatness. You're already setting yourself for wealth. Do not work with the crowd. People are ignorant. People are not willing to take the time to seek knowledge. People are not willing to take the time to improve themselves. People are not willing to take this time to get the required skills that will make them valuable. And that's why we see a lot of people who are less valuable, who are poor, roaming around the world. Everybody is just the same. So take the time and the extra effort to improve yourself, get the required knowledge and skills that will make you valuable. And if you are selling a product or you are an entrepreneur, you are offering a service, make sure you are offering the best, the most valuable they can find out there. Set your product or your service apart and create a very strong brand, what people can identify with. Make sure that people perceive your value from a higher perspective, that when people identify with your brand or whatever you're offering, it will leave a lasting impression in their life. This is one of the reasons why top brands like Lamborghini, Supreme, and all others stand out. Actually, I've come to understand that perceived value and actual value are two different things, and that's why many people are struggling with their business and struggling with their services they're offering, and why people are not just coming to them. First of all, actual value is how valuable whatever you're offering or your product is, and perceived value is how people perceive whatever you're offering to them, how they think, how valuable they think it is. So you are paid in proportion to your perceived value, not your actual value. And one thing you can do is to create a brand, and the brand will help you to communicate your message so people can identify with it and perceive your value at a higher rate. Now, there's a story of someone who wanted to gift a shirt to anyone that is willing to take it for free. So he put the shirt outside and wrote free. Nobody took it, but when he changed the price to $10, within an hour it was stolen. This is the power of perceived value. So people buy products, people offer get stuff, and people request for services based on their perceived value. So if whatever you're offering is good, is unique, is outstanding, but the perceived value is low, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Also try to ensure that your perceived value match your actual value, so that you will not end up deceiving people. When you end up telling people how good your product is, how nice it is, how wonderful the service you're offering is, but in reality it's not, then you're deceiving people, and that's the bad way to run business. Because when people find out your perceived value is going to drop very low, that you may totally run out of business. So you ruin yourself by trying to increase your perceived value while your actual value is low. The last thing I want to talk about is scalability and productocracy. Scalability is the ability for you to scale your business or whatever you're offering, or your solution to a particular problem, to a lot of people, so you can make a lot of profit. While productocracy is how well people can identify with your product and promote it without you paying for promotion. So once you have put these two things in place, it will be very easy for you to make wealth. So if you have a product that you can scale to millions of people and automatically is marketing itself, then you have already hit your jackpot. Doing these things and setting these things are not easy at first, but with work and consistency, you can put these things in place and set up stuff that will be scalable and will be able to market itself. And one of the biggest opportunities we have these days to do that is the internet. The internet have given us vast opportunities to scale our business and to help us market our business. So your product can go trending and help people solve a lot of problem, and people can start identifying with it, and before you know, you're already successful and you're already wealthy. There's something I want to say is very important, and it might be the most important thing I've said in this podcast episode. One thing you must realize is that God is the one who gives the ability to make wealth. It's as simple as that. Every wealthy person needed an opportunity to become wealthy. Without that opportunity, it will be impossible for that person to be wealthy. Every millionaire or billionaire you see on the planet was given an opportunity that changed their life forever. For John D. Rockefeller, the opportunity came to him when he was a bookkeeper. That opportunity came from Maurice Clark, and as Clark offered him that opportunity to start a business, that was where his life changed. For so many people who have made it in life, that opportunity strike, and God is the one who provides such opportunities, and that is why we say God is the one who gives the power to make wealth. So if you are disconnected from God, you might make wealth, but it might never be satisfied, or you might never find fulfillment. So it's important that you as a person hold God, hold him tight, and always pray that God will give you the opportunity you deserve. You might say a lot of people who are not Christians, who do not believe in God, are actually wealthy. Yes, because God made it so. Everyone who is wealthy today, God has approved for them to be wealthy. It's either he wants to solve a problem, a global problem, or he want to use their wealth to help a lot of other people around the world. So at the base of every wealth, there is God, and the opportunity that you need to change your life, the opportunity that you are seeking for to turn this around, is only given by God. So instead of praying for luck, why not pray that God will give you the opportunity to become wealthy? With this being said, if you apply all these things to your life, if you have the right mindset and your definition of wealth is right, your roadmap is right, and you have mastered your own game, and you have gotten something that is scalable and will market yourself, then there's every possibility that you will be wealthy. We've talked about a lot in this episode. I want to believe that you've enjoyed this episode and you've gained a lot from it. If you did, I would love you to just subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and share this podcast to as many as you can, so that people can learn and come to the place of understanding and make better decisions that will enable them make wealth. If you have any question, then don't forget to send us an email and subscribe to our newsletter, so that you also receive publications from us and things that relate to life, to godliness, and everything that have to do with self-improvement. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm really, really happy to have you here, and until next week, stay blessed and stay empowered.
This week's episode has come to an end, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.